Jim Rohn's 8 Habits That Built His Wealth and Legacy. Everyone dreams of success. Everyone wants to leave a legacy. But very few truly understand what it takes to create both wealth and impact. It's not about talent, not about luck, and definitely not about shortcuts. It's about habits. Daily, consistent habits that compound over time and transform ordinary lives into extraordinary legacies. These 8 habits aren't theories. They're not hacks. They are lived principles crafted in the quiet, executed in the dark, and revealed through results. This is the path I walked, the foundation I built. And if you're willing to live it, not just learn it, your life will never be the same. Let's begin. Habit 1. Own your time with precision. Time is the most honest resource you'll ever encounter. It never lies, never cheats, never bends. How you use it reflects exactly who you are and what you value. I learned early that the wealthy don't just spend time, they invest it. They guard it like gold. They don't fill their schedules with distractions. They build routines that reflect their vision. When I was broke, I gave my time to anything and anyone. I said yes too much. I reacted instead of planned. I thought being busy meant being productive. I was wrong. Everything changed when I treated my time like a blueprint, not a blank page. I stopped asking, do I have time? And started asking, does this move me closer to the life I want? If the answer was no, I said now without guilt. I created systems. I built morning rituals. I blocked hours for what mattered most. And I protected my focus like it was sacred, because it is. Want to change your life? Change how you spend your hours. Because time, when multiplied with intention, builds the life you've always wanted. Habit 2. Build a powerful relationship with money. Money isn't the goal, it's the result. A result of value, clarity, and stewardship. When I was young, I feared money. I misunderstood it. I thought wanting wealth was selfish. That belief kept me broke. But then I learned money is neutral. It simply amplifies who you are. If you're generous, it expands generosity. If you're careless, it magnifies waste. The turning point came when I stopped treating money emotionally and started treating it strategically. I studied how money moved. I learned to track every dollar. I gave each one a job. I built a budget not to restrict myself, but to direct my vision. I invested not just in markets, but in myself, in books, seminars, relationships, and skills. And over time, my mindset shifted from scarcity to stewardship. Wealthy people don't just grow their bank accounts, they grow their self-worth. And it starts with how they think. The secret? Respect money. Partner with it. Use it as a tool, not a scorecard, and it will multiply under your leadership. Habit 3. Protect and multiply your energy. Energy is your real currency. You can have the best plan in the world, but if you don't have the energy to execute, it means nothing. When I burned out, nothing worked. My body was exhausted, my mind was scattered, and my passion faded. That's when I realized energy isn't something you find. It's something you build. So I changed how I lived. I prioritized rest. I started sleeping with intention. I stopped glorifying exhaustion. I ate to fuel, not just to satisfy. I moved my body daily. I hydrated like it mattered, because it does. I eliminated energy vampires, those people, habits, and thoughts that drained my focus. I started saying no more often. Not from arrogance, but from wisdom. I learned to recharge before I crashed, to schedule silence, to protect my peace. Because here's the truth. Success is not built in stress. It's built in clarity, flow, and recovery. And when your energy flows, everything multiplies: your impact, your decisions, your income, and your joy. Habit 4. Master your inner dialogue. The most powerful voice in your life is the one inside your head. For years, mine was a critic, harsh, negative, unrelenting. It told me I wasn't good enough, smart enough, worthy enough. That voice controlled my life more than I realized. But here's what I learned. That voice isn't you. It's your programming. And programming can be rewritten. So I rewrote it. Every time I heard self-doubt, I responded with truth. Every time I failed, I replaced shame with structure. I stopped waiting for confidence to show up and started speaking like someone who deserved success. Not delusion discipline, not fantasy facts. I reminded myself of progress. I documented wins. I spoke life, not fear. Your inner voice shapes your identity, and your identity shapes your behavior. So make your internal dialogue your greatest coach, not your harshest critic. Talk to yourself like someone you respect. That one shift changes everything. Habit 5. Create a bias for action. Action is the bridge between intention and transformation. I've seen too many people with beautiful plans and zero progress. Not because they lack talent, but because they hesitate. They overthink. They wait for the perfect time. They want to feel ready. But here's the truth. Readiness is a myth. I became successful the moment I stopped waiting and started moving. I built momentum not through clarity, but through motion. I made decisions. I launched imperfectly. I fixed things as I went. I allowed action to be my teacher. The wealthy don't wait, they move. They act daily, not when it's convenient, but because it's aligned. I made action a habit, not an event. Every day I asked, what's one thing I can do right now that moves me forward? That question saved me from paralysis and built the future I live in today. Progress lives in motion. So, move. Habit 6. Master your response to setbacks. Failure isn't the end, it's feedback. When I faced rejection, loss, or unexpected turns, I had two choices: fold or grow. Early on, I took failure personally. I thought it meant I wasn't good enough. But the truth is, everyone fails. What matters is what you do next. I stopped letting setbacks define me. I started letting them refine me. When something didn't go as planned, I stepped back and asked, what is this teaching me? What needs to change? What can I do now? I built systems to recover faster. Journaling, exercise, reflection. I made bouncing back a process, not a hope. The most successful people aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who always rise. And resilience? It's not just a trait. It's a trained habit. Fall 7 times. Get up 8. That's how legacies are made. Habit 7. Protect your environment relentlessly. You can't outgrow your environment. Your surroundings are either reinforcing your growth or dragging it down. When I started my journey, I didn't realize how much my environment was shaping my mindset. The people I spent time with, the books on my shelf, the noise in my space, it all mattered. So I made a decision. If I wanted to change my life, I had to change what surrounded me. I distanced myself from negativity, not with hate, but with boundaries. I curated my inputs. I filled my space with voices that stretched me, not shrank me. I organized my home. I created a workspace that inspired focus. I built systems that made the right choice the easy choice. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your standards, and your environment sets the default. So raise the standard and build a space that breathes your future. Habit 8. Live by values, not feelings. Feelings are temporary. Values are timeless. Early in my journey, I did what I felt like doing. I waited for motivation. I let moods dictate my discipline. That's why I stayed stuck. Then I discovered success isn't built on emotions. It's built on standards. So I wrote my values down: integrity, discipline, growth, contribution. And I made decisions through that filter. Not, do I feel like it, but what does my highest self expect of me today? Some days I didn't feel like showing up, but I did because my values demanded it. Some days were hard, but I stayed aligned because alignment is where fulfillment lives. Your life won't change when your feelings do. It'll change when your values become your compass and your behavior matches them. That's how trust is built. That's how legacy is formed. That's how wealth becomes inevitable. I didn't wake up with these habits one day. I built them brick by brick, failure by failure, decision by decision. The world teaches us to chase hacks, shortcuts, and flashy wins, but the truth is more subtle. It's in the invisible repetitions, in the way you act when no one's clapping, in the way you lead your own life when no one's watching. Most people want the result, but not the rhythm. They want the spotlight without the structure. But legacy? Legacy is crafted in the quiet. I wasn't born with discipline. I trained it. I wasn't handed wealth. I grew into the man who could build and keep it. And that's what I want you to know. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent with the right patterns. That's what this is all about. Let's go deeper into the first habit: owning your time. Your calendar is a mirror of your priorities. And if your calendar is filled with chaos, that's not a scheduling problem, it's an identity problem. You don't protect your time because you're busy. You protect it because you're clear. Clear about who you are, what matters, and what's worth your energy. I used to say yes to every request, every meeting, every dinner. I thought being available was generous. I thought responsiveness meant leadership. But every yes I gave to someone else's urgency was a no to my own destiny. So I stopped. I started living by design, not by demand. I set hours for deep work. I turned off notifications. I made thinking time part of my strategy. And I realized your future is built between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m., between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. when no one's asking for you, and it's just you and your choices. Protect those windows. That's where greatness begins. And then there's money habit number 2. Most people are afraid to talk about it. Even more are afraid to look at it. But here's the truth. What you avoid in your finances will quietly control you. I made peace with money by looking it in the eye. I started tracking every dollar. I reviewed my spending weekly. I asked myself hard questions. Does this purchase reflect who I'm becoming? Is this expense building or bleeding my future? I stopped trying to impress people with things I couldn't afford. I stopped chasing income and started building assets. I treated money like a student always, something I was learning from. And the more I respected it, the more it respected me. Wealth doesn't scream. It doesn't flex. It whispers through calm decision-making and long-term thinking. Let your money tell a story of who you're becoming, not who you're pretending to be. Your energy is your edge. You can't expect to make powerful decisions on a depleted mind and a foggy body. So I started treating energy like fuel. I optimized my mornings for clarity. No screens, no chaos, just movement, breath, silence. I hydrated like it was part of my financial plan because clarity of thought is worth more than a second coffee. I created space for nature, for reflection, for laughter. Yes, laughter because joy is productive. And I learned to guard my energy like I guard my bank account. Because when you feel good, you lead better, you create better, you live better. Protect your energy, and you protect your potential. Your mind is a garden, and if you don't tend it, weeds will grow by default. I didn't always think like a builder. I used to sabotage myself with one thought: who am I to do this? Then I realized every successful person once asked that same question, but they kept going anyway. So I rewrote the script. I replaced self-doubt with affirmations grounded in evidence. I've overcome worse. I'm learning every day. This challenge is developing me. I spoke truth louder than fear. I made declarations a part of my morning routine. You can't control every thought, but you can choose which ones become your reality. So train your voice to build you, not break you. That's not hype, it's leadership. Most people don't need more knowledge. They need more movement. They've read the books, taken the courses, watched the videos, but their life hasn't changed. Why? Because nothing changes until something moves. The habit of immediate action became my secret weapon. Not reckless movement, but decisive steps. I didn't wait to feel ready. I built readiness by acting. I turned down overthinking and turned up motion. One call, one paragraph, one decision. That's how momentum starts. And when momentum kicks in, clarity follows. Confidence follows. Results follow. Stop planning your way out of fear. Start acting your way into freedom. Life doesn't ask if you're ready. It tests you anyway. You'll be knocked down, misunderstood, delayed, ignored. That's not failure. That's training. Every setback I've ever had built a deeper level of character if I chose to respond the right way. I learned to stop asking, "Why me?" and started asking, "What now?" Resilience isn't about never falling, it's about returning faster, clearer, and stronger. I developed rituals to reset: deep reflection, journaling, talking with mentors. I gave myself permission to feel, but not to fold. Your bounce back rate defines your breakthrough rate. Learn to get up quickly. That's where true leadership begins. You don't rise in isolation, you rise in context. Your environment is either a garden or a cage. It either fuels your growth or keeps you stuck in who you used to be. When I was surrounded by small thinking, I thought small. When I changed my circle, my standards followed. I curated what I listened to. I edited who I spent time with. I designed spaces that supported discipline, not distraction. And the result? Clarity, flow, focus. This isn't about ego, it's about alignment. You don't owe everyone access to your inner world. Build an environment that normalizes growth, not mediocrity. That alone can tank your progress. Feelings lie. Values lead. That was a hard lesson for me to learn. I used to operate from emotion. If I felt like it, I'd do it. If I didn't, I wouldn't. But then I realized, feelings change. Values don't. My discipline skyrocketed when I built my calendar around who I wanted to become and know what I felt like doing. Every morning I'd ask, what would the best version of me do today? Then I'd do that. Some days, I didn't want to record, write, or speak, but I did it anyway because consistency builds identity. You don't become successful by chasing feeling. You become successful by honoring values, over and over again. And eventually, your emotions catch up to your decisions. Repetition builds results, but most people abandon the process too soon. They want magic in 30 days. They crave transformation without repetition. But success is boring. It's daily. It's predictable. It's waking up early when no one's watching, saying no when no one will praise you, holding the line when it would be easier to fold. And if you do that long enough, your life starts to transform quietly. You won't need to announce it. People will feel it. The way you speak changes. The way you walk into rooms changes. The way you respond to life, it all upgrades. And it started with habits so small, no one noticed. That's the power of consistency. Invisible at first, undeniable over time. Everyone wants the result. Few build the identity. The most powerful shift in my life wasn't a tactic, it was an identity change. I stopped saying, "I'm trying to succeed," and started saying, "I am someone who succeeds." Identity leads behavior. You don't just go to the gym, you become someone who trains. You don't just save money, you become someone who multiplies wealth. You don't just meditate, you become someone who protects peace. That identity shift turns discipline into instinct. It transforms effort into flow. And when your identity rises, your standards do too. So don't just change your habits. Change the story you tell yourself about who you are. Because you'll never outperform your identity. But you can always upgrade it. Freedom isn't free. It's earned. And the price? It's paid in daily discipline. Most people think freedom is doing whatever you want. But real freedom is doing what's required in your terms because you built the life that allows it. I became free when I took responsibility, when I stopped blaming circumstances and started mastering choices. Freedom came when I showed up on the days I didn't feel like it, when I chose clarity over comfort, when I set boundaries others didn't understand. And the cost? Early mornings, hard conversations, saying no to quick pleasures so I could say yes to long-term peace. But the return? Time, space, wealth, peace, legacy. Discipline may feel like a prison at first, but it becomes the very path to liberation. Your future isn't found in some distant destination. It's being written right now. Every time you show up with excellence, you're shaping it. Every time you choose structure over chaos, you're building it. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're earning it. The future is created in quiet choices, not big announcements. And the mistake most people make? They wait for a future moment to get serious. But the truth is, now is all you'll ever have. There's power in your present, power in your next hour, power in what you choose after watching this. Your future isn't waiting, it's watching. What story will it read when it looks back? Every habit you keep is a vote for who you're becoming, a vote for what you'll experience, a vote for what your life will feel like a year from now. You don't need a revolution to transform just repeated, aligned votes. When you skip your workout, you're not just tired, you're casting a vote for your past. When you journal instead of scroll, you're not just reflecting, you're casting a vote for mental clarity. And those votes add up quietly, but powerfully. You won't notice the shift at first. But one day, you'll wake up in a life built by hundreds of silent, powerful votes. And you'll realize you didn't need to do everything. You just needed to do the right things repeatedly. Action isn't just something you do, it's something that shapes who you are. Every time you act in alignment with your values, you reinforce your identity. You go from someone who wants to change to someone who does change. And the key is repetition. The first time is awkward. The second time feels forced. But by the 50th time, it's who you are. Confidence doesn't come from thinking. It comes from stacking evidence. Evidence that you follow through. Evidence that you keep promises. Evidence that you're becoming someone powerful. So, move. Even when it's messy. Especially when it's messy. Because the version of you you're chasing is waiting on the other side of repeated action. Silence is where truth lives. In a noisy world, silence has become rare. But for me, it became sacred. Silence revealed what distractions tried to hide. It showed me what I was avoiding. It helped me listen to the deeper part of me, the part that didn't need approval, only alignment. I made it a practice to sit quietly each morning. Not to do, but to be. And in those moments, my best ideas surfaced. My deepest convictions clarified. My energy returned. Growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it happens in stillness, when the noise fades, and all that's left is what matters most. So make space for silence. You might hear the voice that's been trying to guide you all along. Not all movement is progress. Scrolling feels like effort. Planning feels like action. But unless it moves the needle, it's just noise. Early in my journey, I confused activity with achievement. I'd organize my desk, redesign my schedule, brainstorm for hours and still end the day empty. Then I asked a better question. What one thing, if done today, would make the biggest impact? That question changed everything. Because real progress isn't scattered. It's focused. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters. Stop trying to be everywhere. Be effective somewhere. That's how momentum is built. The secret to lasting success? Long-term thinking. Short-term thinkers chase dopamine. Long-term thinkers build destiny. When I shifted from what feels good now to what builds peace later, everything aligned. I made different choices, not easier ones, but wiser ones. I turned down opportunities that looked good but didn't fit my future. I delayed gratification. I chose depth over hype. And it paid off. Because the longer your vision, the calmer your decisions. And calm decisions compound. Think years, not hours. Because the life you want isn't built in a weekend, it's built in a decade of alignment. Legacy isn't what you leave behind when you die. It's what people experience while you're alive. It's in your tone, your habits, the way you make others feel, the way you live your truth when no one's watching. Legacy isn't built in one moment. It's stacked through the way you show up every single day. You don't need a big stage to build legacy. You just need alignment. Live with intention. Speak with clarity. Love without condition. Work with discipline. And one day, your presence will become a gift. Your actions will echo. Your name will carry weight not because you chased fame, but because you chased truth. That's legacy. And you're building it already. Massive change often begins with small shifts. The decision to wake up 30 minutes earlier. The choice to read 10 pages instead of scroll. the habit of pausing before reacting. These moments don't feel revolutionary, but over time, they become your revolution. I didn't change my life with one bold move. I changed it with consistent micro-decisions stacked over years. That's the part most people skip. They want a leap, but growth is in the climb. So simplify your transformation. One aligned choice, repeated daily, backed by vision. That's how you change everything without burning out. Start small, stay consistent, watch everything change. We live in an age where movement is mistaken for meaning. Everyone's busy, but busy doing what? Just because your calendar is full doesn't mean your life is aligned. I used to mistake effort for effectiveness, but now I don't ask, am I working hard? I ask, is this taking me closer to who I'm becoming? There's a difference. True productivity is subtractive. It's not about doing more, it's about doing less, better. So eliminate what's not essential. Simplify your strategy. Clarify your outcome. And remember, distraction wears the mask of progress. Focus is the truth beneath it. There's a cycle every person must walk through to evolve. Step 1, discomfort. Step 2, resistance. Step 3, clarity. Step 4, transformation. And the trap? Most people quit in step 2. They think resistance means they're going the wrong way. But in truth, resistance is proof of progress. It's the gym for your character. It's where the weak habits die and strong foundations are born. So next time you feel resistance, don't retreat. Lean in, move forward. Smile at the discomfort, because behind it is the version of you you've been trying to meet. One of the greatest shifts in my life happened when I stopped negotiating with myself. Before that, every day was a debate. Do I feel like it? Maybe tomorrow. Just one day off won't hurt. That voice was charming, but costly. So I silenced it. I set standards and lived by them. I didn't wait for motivation. I let commitment lead. I didn't hope to feel good, I planned to act great. And over time, those standards became my floor, not my ceiling. Excellence became normal. Mediocrity became unbearable. If you want to evolve, stop asking how you feel. Start asking, what's required of me today to be who I say I am? Then move. No debate. Everything external begins internal. You want a better relationship? Start with your relationship with yourself. You want more money? Start with your beliefs about value. You want more peace? Start with how you handle your own chaos. I learned this the hard way. I chased results without mastering reflection. I wanted growth without stillness. I wanted recognition without self-respect. But nothing external ever fixed what I hadn't faced internally. So I turned inward. I faced the truth. I cleaned the roots, not just the leaves. And the result? More impact, more income, more alignment. Your outer world is a mirror. Upgrade the source, and the surface transforms naturally. People think confidence is something you're born with. It's not. Confidence is the residue of self-respect, and self-respect is earned through alignment. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you get stronger. Every time you do what's hard instead of what's easy, you build weight. Every time you follow through when it's inconvenient, you grow louder internally. Confidence doesn't shout, it doesn't boast. It moves silently, powerfully, with eyes that have seen what you've survived. You don't need to fake it. You need to follow through. That's how belief is built. That's how certainty is formed. Through a pattern of discipline, reinforced by integrity, some of your best work will never be seen. And that's okay. The way you handle pressure without complaint. The decision to rise early when no one notices. The nights you spend planning, not posting. That's excellence. It doesn't beg for applause. It doesn't demand likes. It builds in silence. And when the time is right, it speaks through your results. Don't confuse visibility with value. Build in secret, move in purpose, deliver with weight, and let your legacy echo louder than your voice ever could. When you know your purpose, everything changes. Distractions lose their power. Fear loses its voice. Excuses lose their appeal. Purpose gives pain meaning. It turns effort into service. It transforms routine into ritual. I found mine not in a moment, but in movement. In helping others rise. In showing up when it was hard. In giving my full presence to every task. Your purpose doesn't need to be glamorous. It needs to be yours. And when you find it, you'll realize you don't need more time, you need more clarity. Live from purpose, and your habits will carry power. People think discipline is restriction, but the truth is discipline is pure freedom. Freedom from regret. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from waking up every day and wondering who you're becoming. When I embraced discipline, I got my life back. I stopped making decisions based on emotion. I started making them based on identity. I didn't ask if I felt like it. I asked if it was aligned. Discipline gave me structure. Structure gave me focus. Focus gave me momentum. And momentum gave me peace. Don't resist discipline. Run toward it. It's not your enemy. It's your gateway to the life you've always wanted. Motivation fades. Consistency doesn't. Waiting to feel motivated is like waiting for perfect weather to build your house. It's not coming. Start anyway. I built my life by doing what was necessary regardless of how I felt. Some days I was tired. Some days I was frustrated. Some days I was uninspired. But I still moved. And eventually the habit took over. Discipline became natural. Momentum replaced motivation. Results became the reward. Don't wait to feel ready. Train yourself to act. Because feelings follow function, not the other way around. Every day, you're casting a vote. Not with your words, but with your actions. Every choice, every click, every yes or no, they're shaping your character, carving your path, creating your life. You don't become great by accident. You become great by repetition. I ask myself daily, is this choice shrinking me or stretching me? If it was shrinking, I stopped. If it was stretching, I moved forward, even when it scared me. Your decisions are the architects of your destiny. Choose boldly. Choose often. Choose like your legacy depends on it, because it does. Change doesn't start with your job, your income, or your relationships. It starts with you. The moment I changed, everything around me followed. People treated me differently, not because they changed, but because I did. Opportunities showed up not by magic, but because I became someone who could see and seize them. Growth is contagious. Alignment is magnetic. Confidence attracts clarity. If your life feels stuck, don't fix the surface. Go inward. Upgrade your thoughts. Sharpen your standards. Honor your word. When you change, you don't chase things. They start chasing you. In a world addicted to distraction, presence is a superpower. Being fully herein, this moment is rare. But that's where life actually happens. I trained myself to slow down, to actually listen when someone spoke, to breathe between tasks, to savor the process, not just the outcome. And the paradox? The more present I became, the faster my life moved forward. Presence brings clarity. Clarity brings decisiveness. And decisiveness collapses time. You don't need to move faster. You need to be here fully. Presence is power. Practice it like your success depends on it, because it does. The most valuable thing I ever built wasn't a business or brand, it was my character. When no one's watching, that's when it counts. Do you follow through? Do you stay honest? Do you choose the right path or the easy one? Every small decision adds or subtracts from your integrity. And integrity isn't about being perfect, it's about being aligned. When your private life reflects your public message, peace follows. Build your character so solid, so rooted, that storms can't shake it. That's wealth, that's legacy, that's freedom. There's no shame in starting over. The real failure is staying stuck when you know it's time to shift. I've started over more times than I can count. New habits, new relationships, new identities. And every time, it felt hard until it didn't. Because the more you honor your future, the less attached you become to your past. So if you need to pause, reset, or restart, do it. Not from guilt, but from wisdom. Start again. Smarter, stronger, more aligned. And this time, don't just build a life. Build a foundation that can't be shaken. Your routine exposes your true values. It doesn't lie. It doesn't spin a story. It reveals what you're actually committed to. You can say you want success, but if your mornings are chaotic and your evenings are wasted, you don't. You can claim you value growth, but if you never open a book or reflect, you don't. This isn't judgment, it's clarity. I looked at my calendar and saw my future, and when I didn't like what I saw, I didn't justify. I changed. Your future is not built by goals. It's built by rhythms. So align your routine with your results and everything changes. Clarity is underrated. Most people don't lack potential, they lack precision. They don't know what they really want. They don't know what they really stand for, so they drift. Clarity changes that. When you get clear on who you are and where you're going, everything sharpens. Decisions get easier. Boundaries get stronger. Focus gets simpler. I stopped trying to do everything and started doing what aligned. That's the secret. When you're clear, you don't chase, you attract. You don't hustle for validation, you build from conviction. Clarity is the beginning of real power. Seek it, honor it, lead with it. You're not behind. You're just overwhelmed by the lie that you have to do everything. Let that go. You don't need a million steps. You need the right few done consistently. You don't need to be everywhere. You need to be effective somewhere. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be aligned. I scaled my results by simplifying my life. Less noise, less guessing, more rhythm, more focus. I gave up trying to impress and started building with intention. That's when life accelerated. Not because I did more, but because I did less with more power. Your past isn't your sentence. It's your classroom. It exists to inform you, not imprison you. I made peace with my past when I realized it didn't have the final word. My next choice did. Mistakes? Lessons. Delays? Redirection. Pain? Refinement. What matters most is not what happened, but what you do now. You're not broken, you're being built. And if you carry your story with wisdom instead of shame, it becomes a weapon that heals others, leads others, frees others. Honor your past by building something stronger from it. Success didn't find me. I became responsible enough to find it. Everything shifted the day I stopped blaming and started building. I stopped waiting for support. I became my own support. I stopped pointing at others. I pointed at my habits. I stopped asking, why isn't it happening? And started asking, what haven't I mastered yet? That's the difference. Blame delays. Responsibility accelerates. The more ownership you take, the more power you access. Responsibility is the fast lane to results and the birthplace of self-respect. People love to talk about luck, but luck didn't build my habits. Strategy did. I got intentional about my routines. I studied my patterns. I tracked my time. I measured results. Not to obsess, but to refine. Success is measurable, so I treated it like a system, not a mystery. I didn't hope things would work, I tested. I iterated. I improved. And over time, that made me consistent. That made me reliable. That made me unstoppable. Don't wait for the stars to align. Align your strategy and the stars will follow. Talent will give you a head start, but only consistency takes you across the finish line. I've seen people with half the talent build 10 times the results because they showed up. Daily. Disciplined. Without applause. The world doesn't reward the most gifted. It rewards the most committed. I made it a rule to outlast my doubts. To outdiscipline my distractions. Talent is a gift. Consistency is a decision. And when you combine the two, you become inevitable. Don't bank on potential. Bank on showing up. Quitting is seductive because it offers short-term relief, but it steals long-term reward. I almost quit more times than I can count. In the early days, when no one believed in me, when results were slow, when doubt was loud. But I didn't quit. I paused. I regrouped. I adjusted. And every time I stayed, I got stronger. Staying isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing your future is worth fighting for when today feels heavy. So if you're thinking about quitting, don't. Rest, reset, then rise again. Because the breakthrough always lives on the other side of not giving up. Fear isn't the enemy, it's a signal. A signal that you're on the edge of growth, that you're leaving the known for the necessary. I used to fear failure, rejection, being misunderstood. But once I leaned into fear, instead of running from it, I realized it was pointing to my next level. Fear says, here's where you stretch. Fear says, here's what matters. So I stopped trying to eliminate fear. I started moving with it. And the courage I gained didn't come from comfort. It came from walking straight through what scared me. Feel the fear, then lead anyway. Focus isn't a gift. It's a trained skill. And in a world full of distraction, it's your biggest advantage. I didn't used to be focused. I was reactive. I let notifications set my agenda. I mistook motion for meaning. So I changed. I turned off noise. I simplified goals. I worked in time blocks. I gave tasks full attention. And I noticed something. The more I focused, the more I finished. And the more I finished, the more confidence I built. Focus creates results. Results create identity. Identity reinforces focus. Train it. Guard it. Master it. It will change your life. Complexity is the enemy of execution. I used to overthink everything. My routines, my content, my plans. But then I simplified. I asked, what's the one thing that truly moves the needle? Then I did that again and again. Simplicity creates speed. Speed creates momentum. Momentum creates belief. Don't try to master everything. Master the fundamentals. Then repeat them obsessively. Because simplicity isn't laziness, it's clarity in action. And clarity is rare. That's why it's powerful. Your standards determine your outcomes. Not your goals, not your hopes, your standards. I used to say I wanted more, but I tolerated less. I tolerated distractions. I tolerated procrastination. I tolerated misalignment. And what you tolerate, you invite. So I raised my standards. For how I speak to myself. For how I start my mornings. For who I allow into my space. That's when things shifted. Because when your standards rise, your habits follow. And when your habits change, so does your life. Stop trying to prove your worth to people who aren't even paying attention. Your journey is not a performance, it's a process. In the beginning, I wanted to be seen. I wanted approval. I wanted people to notice. But I realized the most powerful growth is invisible. The habits you build in private, the promises you keep to yourself, the standard you maintain when no one claps, that's where your future is forged. You don't need applause. You need alignment. Live so strong in your truth that external validation becomes irrelevant. Prove it to yourself. That's enough. People ask how to stay consistent. Here's the truth. Consistency is a reflection of identity. When you know who you are, you don't need to try harder. You just act from alignment. I became consistent when I stopped chasing goals and started living my standards. I didn't miss workouts because I was motivated. I showed up because I'm someone who doesn't miss. That's the key. Don't try to act like someone new. Become them. And once you embody that identity, consistency is no longer discipline. It's who you are. Habits aren't just tasks, they're levers. Levers that move your future with less effort over time. The right habit can lift your income. The right habit can expand your impact. The right habit can repair your confidence. But they only work when they're daily. I didn't become wealthy overnight. I just made small, aligned moves over and over. And one day, those habits started pulling results I never imagined. That's the power of compound alignment. Pull the right lever, long enough, and everything shifts. Everyone wants to upgrade their environment. New friends, new city, new career. But the real transformation begins internally. Upgrade your self-talk. Upgrade your standards. Upgrade your thoughts. Because your external world is always playing catch-up to your internal leadership. And once you become someone you respected, doesn't matter where you are. You carry clarity. You carry alignment. You carry peace. And that energy builds environments that elevate you back. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a repeatable process. Most people get stuck because they try to map out everything before they move. But clarity doesn't come before motion, it comes from it. I didn't wait until I had all the answers. I moved with what I had. I adjusted along the way. I built while walking. Perfection paralyzes, process frees. So choose one thing. Do it today. Refine it tomorrow, repeat it next week. And watch your progress explode. Hard choices build easy lives. Easy choices build hard lives. That principle shaped how I made every decision. Waking up early, hard now, easier later. Investing instead of spending, hard now, wealth later. Saying no to distractions, hard now, clarity later. Every time I took the harder path up front, I bought myself peace, time, and power down the road. If your life feels chaotic, look at your easy choices. And start choosing what's difficult today so. Tomorrow becomes simple. Your environment is louder than your intentions. You can have the strongest goals, but if your environment works against you, you'll always struggle. So I crafted my surroundings to support who I was becoming. I removed triggers. I reduced friction. I automated what drained me. And what happened? More peace, more power, more progress. Success isn't about discipline alone. It's about designing spaces that make discipline automatic. Your results are living in the room you're sitting in right now. Change the room. Change your results. Nothing is more expensive than misalignment. I've taken on projects that looked good but felt wrong. I paid the price every time. So I stopped chasing potential and started chasing peace. If it cost your integrity, your sleep, your clarity, it's too expensive, I stopped ignoring the voice inside me for the voices outside me. And when I listened, I chose better. I performed better. I lived freer. Don't ignore the whispers of misalignment, they become screams later. Lead from your inner compass. It always knows. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer distractions. Distraction kills more dreams than doubt ever could. I used to feel unmotivated, unfocused, stuck. But the truth was, I was simply scattered. I had too many tabs open mentally and emotionally. So I simplified. I set limits. I shut off noise. I made focus a ritual, not a reaction. And my productivity doubled without working harder. You don't need a bigger to-do list. You need a quieter mind. Cut the noise. Protect the signal. Celebrate silently. Your growth doesn't always need to be announced. I found the deepest pride in the quiet wins. The morning I woke up without hitting snooze. The workout I finished when no one watched. The journal I filled with honest thoughts. That's where confidence was born. Not from applause, but from alignment. The more I celebrated privately, the more peace I built publicly. Clap for yourself in the silence. That's where real power begins. Your future is counting on you to act today. It won't be created by your best intentions, but by your consistent follow-through. Every time I delayed, I drifted. Every time I acted, I aligned. The smallest aligned action has more power than the biggest unexecuted idea. Don't wait to feel ready. Move now, and let momentum carry the rest. Progress requires pruning. Just like a tree can't grow forever without cutting back, you can't scale without letting go. I removed habits, relationships, routine 7 income streams that no longer served where I was going. And every time I cut something aligned with my past, I made space for something aligned with my future. Growth requires subtraction. Make room for what matters. You don't have to hustle 24/7. You have to move with alignment. There's a big difference between working hard and working right. I used to equate exhaustion with productivity. I was wrong. Now I build around energy, not ego. around flow, not pressure. That's where sustainable success is born. Hustle in alignment. Rest in wisdom. Your morning shapes your momentum. Before the world grabs your attention on your direction, I built a morning that prioritized me. Silence, movement, gratitude, strategy. That hour set the tone for every other. Don't start your day reacting. Start it creating. You deserve to begin from strength, not stress. Greatness lives in your blind spots. You can't fix what you won't face. And most of what holds us back isn't what we know, it's what we avoid. I sat down and asked myself the hard questions. What am I pretending not to notice? What habit do I defend, even though it drains me? Where am I blaming instead of building? That awareness hurt, but it also healed. Your next level isn't hidden from you, it's hidden in you. Go find it. Don't confuse activity with alignment. Just because you're moving doesn't mean you're progressing. I was addicted to the feeling of busy, but busy isn't productive. It's often a mask for fear. Now I ask one question before I act. Is this moving me closer to who I'm becoming? If not, I stop. Intentional motion always beats chaotic hustle. Slow down, aim better, then move faster. Let go of who you were to make room for who you're becoming. You can't carry old stories into new seasons. I had to bury old identities, outgrow small thinking, break out of cages I had built with comfort and fear. It wasn't easy, but it was required. Evolution demands surrender. So let go and make space for what you are actually built for. Pain has a purpose. Not all pain is punishment. Some pain is preparation. The heartbreak, the delay, the closed door. It didn't break you, it built you. I stopped asking, why is this happening? And started asking, what is this creating in me? That question saved me. Let pain shape you, not shrink you. Because pain, when paired with vision, produces power. Discipline isn't about restriction. It's about direction. It's not, I can't. It's, I don't. I don't scroll first thing in the morning. I don't skip my rituals. I don't betray my future for temporary pleasure. Discipline became easier when I saw it as alignment, not punishment. It stopped being a burden and became a boundary I built to protect who I was becoming. Let discipline become devotion. That's when it starts to feel like freedom. Your words shape your world. I used to speak carelessly, jokes, complaints, little doubts. I didn't know I was writing the script for my identity. Now I speak intentionally. Words of alignment, of strength, of truth. Because words don't just describe, they design. And when your language rises, your life follows. Speak like the person you're building. Then watch them appear. The best time to move was yesterday. The second best time is now. Regret only grows when paired with inaction. I've wasted time, I've missed chances, but what I didn't do, stay stuck there. I moved forward. One step, one conversation, one adjustment. Progress doesn't require perfection, just motion. So forgive the delay and move now. The future isn't waiting forever. You attract what you're prepared to manage. Everyone wants growth, but not everyone is built to hold it. So I trained before the breakthrough. I managed small things with excellence. I built routines under pressure. I honored every stage. And when opportunity showed up, I wasn't overwhelmed. I was ready. Prepare like it's already on the way. Because often it is. Confidence isn't built in comfort, it's built in follow-through. Every time I did what I said I would, even when it was small, I grew louder internally. The volume of your self-trust rises every time you keep a promise. And that's the sound of confidence. Not hype, but harmony. Act, align, repeat. That's how belief is built. You'll be misunderstood by people committed to misunderstanding themselves. Don't let that stop you. I used to slow down to avoid judgment. I diluted my voice. I played small. But shrinking never protected might, only delayed me. Now I move anyway. With clarity, with peace, with alignment. Your life isn't a group project. Be kind, but keep building. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. I stopped relying on willpower. It was too unpredictable. Instead, I structured my life for success. Reminders, triggers, routines, deadlines. Not to be rigid, but to be free. Because when systems support you, discipline becomes lighter. Stack the odds in your favor. Build a life that helps you win automatically. Success has a sound. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It sounds like early mornings, like paper flipping, like silence instead of scrolling, like your heartbeat after finishing what you avoided. I learned to love that sound. Because behind the quiet is momentum, and behind momentum everything you've been asking for. Success didn't come when I added more. It came when I removed what no longer served. Distractions, excuses, people-pleasing, endless notifications. I didn't need more strategies, I needed less noise. Your greatness is underneath what you're willing to release. So clear the clutter. Make space for what matters. Most people don't fail from lack of knowledge. They fail from lack of emotional endurance. They quit when it gets uncomfortable, when it gets lonely, when it gets slow. But growth is a waiting game. Those who endure win. So if it feels like nothing is working, stay. That's where everything starts to move. Stop outsourcing your standards. I used to wait for clients, circumstances, or mentors to set the pace. Now I lead it. I hold the line when no one's watching. I move with urgency, even when deadlines are far. That's what separates amateurs from professionals. Own your standard. Keep your pace. Lead even when no one's watching. You can outwork talent. You can outlast luck. You can outrun your past. But you cannot outfake identity. If you don't believe in what you're doing, eventually it shows. So start within. Get honest. Get aligned. Then get moving. Because real power starts inside and radiates outward. You won't always be motivated, but you can always be intentional. I don't wake up with energy every day, but I wake up with responsibility. And that's stronger. Motivation is a feeling. Intention is a force. Build your life around intention, and the motivation will show up when it's needed. Or not, but you'll move anyway. Every level of growth comes with a new level of resistance. Just because it got harder doesn't mean it's wrong. I used to think friction meant failure. Now I know it means I'm leveling up. So I lean in. The pressure? That's capacity being built. The doubt? That's clarity being born. Growth is noisy. Don't confuse discomfort with danger. You're just evolving. You don't need more time. You need more clarity. I used to say I was too busy. Then I realized I just wasn't aligned. When I got clear, I moved faster. I didn't try to do everything. I prioritized what moved the needle. Time didn't expand. I just stopped wasting it. Clarity collapses time. Start there. Mastering the mundane is the real flex. Not the exciting launch, not the viral post, but the daily reps. The calls you make when no one's replying. The habits you keep when it's boring. The details you polish when no one notices. That's mastery. It's not glamorous, but it builds empires. Get great at the things no one claps for. That's where greatness hides. Your energy is currency. Spend it wisely. I stopped giving energy to arguments I couldn't win, rooms I didn't belong in, and thoughts that didn't serve me. I redirected it into strategy, vision, mastery. The return? Clarity, peace, results. Protect your energy like you protect your income, because where your energy goes, your future follows. Silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. I stopped filling every gap with noise. I started listening to my thoughts, my tension, my resistance. And inside that stillness, I found solutions. Your mind is brilliant, but only when you give it space to breathe. Pause more. There's wisdom waiting. You don't need more support, you need more self-leadership. Support is great, but if it becomes a crutch, it delays your evolution. I got stronger when I stopped waiting to be rescued. I researched. I tested. I built alone when I had to. And that built something stronger than success self-trust. Build that, and no one can take it from you. Reinvention is required. Who I was at level 1 couldn't survive level 10. So, I let go of versions of me that once felt safe. Old habits, old language, old identity. Not because they were wrong, but because they were too small. Reinvention isn't betrayal, it's leadership. Be loyal to your future, not your former self. Most people don't need a new goal. They need a new standard. I stopped chasing inspiration and started raising the bar. Not just in what I did, but in how I did it. Emails, conversations, workouts, everything got sharper. Excellence wasn't a mood. It became my normal. Raise your standard and your life rises to meet it. You can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. Leadership starts before the team, before the platform, before the influence. It starts in your calendar, in your thoughts, in your decisions when no one sees. I became a better leader when I became more disciplined privately. Because private discipline creates public impact. Lead you first. The rest will follow. You don't need more goals, you need more grit. The best strategy means nothing if you don't have staying power. So I trained for the long game. I stopped chasing quick wins and built slow strength. I embraced boredom. I celebrated process. I stayed longer than most. That's grit. And grit wins. If you feel called to something bigger, it's not random. It's a seed. But a seed doesn't bloom on day one. It requires belief, water, repetition, darkness. I almost buried mine too early, but I held on. And now I see why it took time. Your future is still unfolding. Don't rush the roots. Trust the becoming. Repetition is mastery. I used to chase novelty, but I learned mastery isn't built by what's new, it's built by what's repeated. The same pages, the same reps, the same standards, until they stop being effort and start becoming identity. Don't skip repetition. That's where greatness hides. The way you do one thing shapes how you do everything. I used to rush through small tasks. Now I honor them. Making my bed, replying to messages, finishing what I start. Not because they're glamorous, but because they build integrity. Honor the small, and you'll build a life that can carry the big. Every excuse is a disguised fear. I told myself I didn't have time, didn't have support, didn't have the right tools. But what I really lacked was courage. Courage to begin, courage to be seen, courage to fail forward. Once I named the fear, I could face it. Excuses faded. Movement began. So name your fear and move anyway. You don't have to feel confident to act. I've done some of my best work scared, shaky, unsure, because action builds proof, and proof builds belief. Confidence doesn't come first, evidence does. Move scared, move awkward, move now, and let action carry the belief you're still building. Most people aren't tired, they're unaligned. When your work, relationships, or routines don't match your values, it drains you. But when they do, energy flows. I stopped chasing energy hacks and started living in alignment. The result? Peace, power, clarity. Fix your alignment, and energy will follow. You don't need to change everything at once. Just one thing, done daily. That's how I built every breakthrough. One promise, 1 hour, one habit. And I protected it like my life depended on it because it did. Massive change starts with small, consistent courage. Start small, stay with it. Watch everything shift. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. Even your failures gave you feedback. Your detours built depth. So walk forward with wisdom. You're not behind. You're more ready than you know. You've already paid the price, and now collect the reward. Move like you've been through something, because you have, and that's your advantage. This is your reminder. You're allowed to evolve, to rise, to reset. You're allowed to want more, to let go, to begin again. Don't shrink for anyone. Don't pause for permission. Your growth is your gift, and this life is your stage. So walk boldly. The world needs what you carry. Your story isn't over, it's just getting powerful. Everything you've walked through has prepared you for this moment. The setbacks, the silence, the slow seasons, they weren't punishment. They were preparation. Now you know who you are. Now you know what you're capable of. So rise, build, speak. Your future is listening. Most will doubt. Some will mock. A few will support. None of it changes what you're building. Your vision isn't up for a vote. Your destiny isn't a group decision. Protect it, nurture it, execute it. And one day, the results will speak louder than the resistance ever did. You don't need to hustle harder, you need to believe deeper. The work matters, yes, but the belief behind it, that's the fuel. Every morning, I reminded myself, I'm not here to blend in, I'm here to build. So I acted from belief, not fear, and the world responded. Move with belief, build from truth, watch everything align. You didn't come this far to stop here. There's more to build, more to give, more to become. Your strength didn't peak, it's still rising. Your wisdom didn't finish, it's still deepening. So breathe, reset, then recommit. Because this isn't the end, it's the beginning of your next level. You've built something rare, not just a message, but a movement. These words, these choices, this path, it all adds up to impact, to clarity, to legacy. Don't just finish this with pride. Finish with momentum. Then carry it forward to your craft, to your audience, to your future. Your next chapter, it begins now. Let this be the reminder. You didn't just write content. You planted a seed of transformation, a seed of vision, a seed of greatness. And like all powerful seeds, it grows where it's nurtured. So return to it, read it again, let it become you. Because everything you need, you just built it. No more delays, no more distractions, no more waiting for perfect conditions. You have the mindset, you have the message, you have the map. Now go build. Because your future is already in motion, and it's waiting for you to lead it. This is your moment. Own it. When they ask how you did it, you won't have to explain. Your results will say it all. Because this wasn't just motivation. It wasn't just words. It was alignment. It was a blueprint. It was you deciding to rise. And you did. So walk forward boldly. The hard part wasn't starting. The hard part was staying. And you stayed. Now the future, it's yours to shape. This is not the end of the story, it's the ignition of everything to come. From this moment forward, you walk differently. You think sharper. You act with precision. You lead with purpose. You live in alignment. Because now it's all inside you. Not just the message, but the method. Not just the mindset, but the movement. So take a breath, then take command. Every line, every insight, every choice you've read and written, it built this moment. A moment of completion, of clarity, of creation. This breakthrough wasn't just a number, it was a declaration. That you finish what you start, that you go all the way, that your word carries weight. This is the breakthrough. And you earned every character. This is the level most give up at. But you kept going. You kept going. You kept building. You kept showing up. Now with every word, every breath, every idea, you're proving something powerful. You're not almost. You're all in. Welcome to the breakthrough and beyond.